Hey YouTubers, this is Abhishek for the Wheels and Chips, and in today's video we're going to be looking at a budget build. It's going to be a one-of-its-kind video, something I've always wanted to do in Wheels and Chips channel. It's going to be a budget build, a budget gaming PC for under 30,000 rupees. Did I say budget gaming? It's sort of like a gaming PC, but you're going to be gaming it medium or low. Not low like the Intel HD graphics, but low in the sense of 1080p or 900p medium, something like that sort. It's going to be a PC for students and workers who like to do this Revit, AutoCAD and these kinds of stuff under a budget, and the budget is going to be 30,000 rupees. Yes, everything included. Keyboard, mouse, CPU casing, everything included for under 30,000 rupees. So without any further ado, let's begin. So when it comes to a PC, a CPU plays a very important role, and we're going to be selecting a very good PC. It's going to be an Intel Pentium 3220. Although the Pentium name might make you sound like it's an ancient processor architecture and that sort, it's definitely not. It's almost on par with an Intel i7 third generation, as in its single core performance is on par with an Intel i7 third generation. The Pentium G3220 has just two cores, no hyper-threading, but that's going to be enough to run AutoCAD and Revit since they are highly single-core dependent. It also scores on par with the i7 third generation. That's a bonus. So that's pretty much it for the CPU part. Let's move on to the motherboard. So we're looking at a Gigabyte H81MS1 motherboard. And why this motherboard especially? It's a cheap motherboard, and people who are going to say that, oh Abhishek, I'm a PC builder, why did you select this one? You should have gone for MSI and stuff like that. Please keep in mind that we're not trying to build a CPU or a cabinet for under 30,000 rupees. We're trying to build an entire system which is going to be used by people like students or college graduates who are going to be looking at single core performance at the core like Revit or AutoCAD and stuff like that, and people who are not going to, sort of overclock it. So keep that in mind and just watch the video. And as we were saying, the Gigabyte H81MS1 motherboard. This motherboard also has reasonable amount of features. For example, it supports around 16 GB of DDR3 memory through its 2 RAM slots with around native frequency of 1333 MHz and 1600 MHz. Also, you can buy RAM slots of around 1833 MHz. That's no problem because RAMs can run at lower frequencies. For example, we already have a video about this, and that's pretty much about laptop, but it still applies to these kinds of RAMs as well. And the other part is it has 4 SATA connectivity ports for storage expansion. That should be pretty much adequate if you're on a budget, because we're only aiming at people who are on a budget for under 30,000 rupees. Anyways, it also has onboard Realtek ALC887 audio chip which supports around 7.1 channel audio output. That should be adequate for anyone because you don't need a external sound card. So that's pretty good enough in my opinion. The LAN chipset is also provided by Realtek, the people who provided the audio for this board. And it also has 2 USB 2.0 ports and 2 USB 3.0 ports. Although it's not, breathtakingly very modern, it's not USB 3.1 generation B or sorts of that kind of ports, but USB 3.0 is still fairly adequate for people on a budget. And it also has one PCI Express X16 slot and 2 PCI Express X1 slots, that can accommodate your GPU. So that's pretty much it for the motherboard. And as for the motherboard, it costs around 3,500 rupees, and as for the CPU, it costs around 4,000 rupees. It's not really expensive and it's not cheap as well. It's right there in the middle. So these two are really great components. And moving on to the RAM and the power supply. For the RAM, I would select a HyperX Fury that's available for under 3,000 rupees. You can't go for the superb aesthetics at this price range, but it still gets the job done. So I'd say it's okay, not bad, not a bad choice for a RAM, because it's still going to be a RAM that's going to be doing its job, and 8 GB is pretty much enough for gaming and workloads like Revit and AutoCAD. Of course, you can go the extra mile and get a 16 GB one. That's purely up to your budget, and as far as I'm concerned, I would recommend a 3,000 rupees 8 GB RAM. And when it comes to the power supply, you can always go for a Corsair VS 450 watt power supply. It's pretty good. I'll leave the links in the description down below as well. When it comes to the RAM, that costs 3,000 rupees, and when it comes to the power supply, that costs around 2,600 rupees. I'll be leaving the links in the description, so don't worry. I know I mentioned it 4 or 5 times by now, but this first of its kind build video for us, so please stay with us. And yeah, we're calling this Project Warrior. Get it? Worker, gamer, warrior, Project Warrior. So moving on to the storage part, I'll suggest a Western Digital 500 GB variant because it costs around just 2,500 rupees, or any 500 GB for under 2,500 rupees should do. Your budget should be around 2,500 rupees. And also link down below the best variant that I could find so that you can use it for yourself. Anyways, let's move on to the main important thing, the main important aspect, that is the GPU. What do I suggest? And right now at this moment in India, I'd suggest a PowerColor R7 250X from AMD. It's a 2GB DDR3 variant. I mean, I wouldn't say that's super fast and like DDR5 and so powerful. It's not, but it does a pretty good job at what it's doing. For example, gaming on a budget. As you can see from these charts, I mean, just have a look at it. The Witcher 3 runs at around 900p in low settings and gives around 30 FPS. I mean, that's pretty decent. You get GTA 5 in medium low at 35 FPS in 1080p. That's good enough. Dirt 3, I mean, not a lot of people play this right now because it's become significantly old, but still it plays at around 1080p in high settings and gets around 95 freaking FPS. That's amazing. Battlefield 3, no problem, 1080p high, 44 FPS, playable. Bioshock Infinite, 1080p high, 43 FPS, playable. Crysis 3, 1080p high, and medium settings, 31 FPS. So I guess the question has been answered. Can it play Crysis? Of course it can, but admittedly at 31 FPS, still you can just crank down the settings and get up to 40 FPS. So I'd say it's good enough for the budget. Just keep in mind that you're looking at a budget of 30,000 rupees. And I'd suggest a Dell monitor for under 5,000 rupees and a keyboard and mouse, that's for a combo of under 500 rupees. You can get a cheaper one for temporary use. And after that, you can upgrade to something awesome. And you can also look at cabinets for under 1,000 rupees. I'll be linking everything down below in the description. I mean, the CPU, the cabinet, the mouse, everything, so no problem over there. So as far as the video goes, I didn't want to mention them because I didn't want to cherry pick and say the Zebronics cabinet for 1,000 rupees in India is awesome, because I know it's not going to be the best, but on a budget, what else can you look for? So I'll probably cherry pick and find the best components for you and just put it down in the description below. And as far as the build goes, this is what I can recommend to you for under 30,000 rupees. Of course, there's another build coming up soon that will be probably for under 35,000 rupees, and it will do a significantly better job than this one, or I would say a lot better job than this one. And depending on your budget, if you can put around 2,000 or 3,000 rupees more, I suggest you go for the AMD RX 460. A very good card that performs on par with the 750 Ti in most cases and sometimes exceeds the 750 Ti as well. Again, the 750 Ti is a good card as well, but you get that for around 9,000 rupees and this card for around 8,800 rupees. I suggest you go for the RX 460. And the PowerColor AMD R7 250X clocks in at around, costs in at around 6,000 rupees. Wow, costs in, pretty similar words. Anyways, it costs just 6,000 rupees for the 2GB DDR3 variant. If you're going to buy a card of that sort, I'd say DDR3 is going to be enough. Sorry, DDR3 is going to be enough. You don't have to go for, DDR5 or something like that, because the bandwidth is going to be pretty much enough for DDR3. Okay, that is pretty much it for this video. I guess we hit the 30,000 mark right on target. If you like this video, please do give us a like, and if you think we should make more of these, budget builds and high-end gaming builds sort of videos for, India specific or, even world specific audience, please do subscribe to us and let us know in the comment section down below that you like it and you want these kinds of more videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in my next one.